A very warm welcome to all the dignitaries, participants, colleagues, and my dear friends. Welcome to the third day of this 5-day international FDP on research tools and methodology. We thank you for being here today. Without wasting much time, let us begin the first day for the session. Today, the topic for this session is strategizing faculty towards research excellence. And for that, we have Professor IITS Dr. Sivarao Subramaniam sir from University Technical Malaysia along with us to share this thoughts on us. So before we listen to him, I request our Dean R&D Dr. S. Reza sir to introduce the speaker for this day. Sir, can you please unmute your mic, sir? Reza sir.
Good morning to all.
Sir, please
Good morning
continue,
to
sir.
all the dignitaries and participants of the today's session. Welcome to Dr. Sivarao Subramaniam sir. It is a privilege for me to introduce Dr. Sivarao Subramaniam sir, today's guest speaker. Dr. Sivarao Subramaniam sir holds Bachelor of Engineering, Master of Engineering and PhD degree in the field of Mechanical Engineering. Dr. Sivarao sir has begun his career as a lecturer in Mechanical Engineering Department, Polytechnic Guru Omar in the year 1989. He has industrial experience for more than 13 years. Since 2003, Dr. Sivarao Subramaniam sir serving as professor in Technical Asia Malacca. Dr. Sivarao sir is also professional engineer with practicing certificate and the professional technologist in the field of mechanical engineering. His research, innovation, and consultation activities have led him to earn numerous outputs. Few among them I can able to quote due to lack of time are more than 200 scientific publications, including books in Russia, Germany, Australia, and Mauritius. 65 international, national, and national research grants he secured. He published 20 patents, most of them have been successfully commercialized. And he won 50 international national innovation awards, and he got 30 consultations, including ministries, agencies, and corporate sectors. He participated in guest programs, nearly 50, and he gathered 20 PhDs, and he examined more than 24 international PhD theses. He is the international keynote speaker, including Berlin, Germany. He secured Prime Minister Award winner, Malaysia Best Innovation Award in the year 2010. He got World Championship Award 2018 in the field of industrial engineering. And I want to add some more of his achievements. Being passionate in the area of innovation, Professor Sivarao is also the president of the Innovation Commercialization and Entrepreneurial Association of Malaysia and founding vice president and member of Innovation and Technology Managers Association of Malaysia. He also actively roles as a consultant, advisor, and also an invited speaker by the universities, government departments, polytechnic associations, and technical schools. Dr. Sivarao sir is the competent technology transfer professional certified by Alliance of Technology Transfer Professionals, Scotland. Since a decade, Professor Sivarao sir actively associated himself in a capacity building and talent development of researchers and industry through workshops. He runs the programs employing franchise models, particularly in innovation mining, high impact innovation development to bring and power switching, which has been practically validated by the counterparts in United Kingdom. Besides, he also coaches research scholars, postgraduates on effective research conduct using his own model. The ultimate goal behind all the efforts by Professor Sivarao sir is to produce high-quality innovators and doctorators that could see things in dissimilar perspectives, which may uplift themselves in their respective organizations to the endurance level in the context of technology development. Due to lack of time, I can able to quote very few of his achievements. Today, we are so fortunate to have Dr. Sivarao sir with us to address us regarding these research concepts. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for the organizers to give me this opportunity to introduce this eminent person, Dr. Sivarao Subramaniam, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Without wasting much time, I now give this time to Professor Dr. Sivarao Subramanian, sir. Over to you, sir.
Can you hear me, Mr. Daniel?
Yes, sir. You are audible, loud and clear.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel, and also Dr. K. Sridhar, sir, for your kind introductory. A very good day to all participants from various parts of the globe, and hope all are doing fine. Well, at this juncture, I wish to convey my special thanks to Lendi Institute of Engineering and Technology for allowing me to share my knowledge via this platform. My heartiest and sincere thanks to Professor Dr. Satish Pujari, the head of Mechanical Engineering Department, who has personally contacted me multiple times despite his busy schedule and putting so much of effort for the success of this event. Last but not least, to all FDP committee and team members, thank you very much for your enormous effort in making sure the event swiftly managed. I'm Sivarao Subramanian from the Faculty of Manufacturing Engineering, University Technical Malaysia, Malacca. Andarki namaskara. And hope you will have take-home points from this sharing to make our research much better from yesterday. Well, I would like to inform ahead that I am here not to teach. Research excellence is not something that we can teach in a day, and worse still in 1 or 1.5 hours time. Instead, I would like to provide the bigger picture of research aspiration, which it took years for me to understand without a clear guidance from any party. I'm quite fortunate that I've handled Research Management Center as the Deputy Director, then as the inaugural Director of Technology Transfer Office, where I established the Technology Transfer Office from scratch. Here I managed to set directions for the post-research activities. Okay. Then when I managed the post-research activities, I had the opportunity to manage the whole range of researchers in the campus with variety of understanding about research and its output. Throughout the years, I've learned so many things that cannot be learned via books, that I networked with all technology transfer office in Malaysia universities and also outside the country. Then we together established for the betterment of researchers, we together established Innovation and Technology Managers Association, where I was the founding vice president. We feel that there is a need for this association to guide especially the young researchers. With this accumulated experience, I will today share part of them in the aspect of research, which may lead into research excellence, especially for faculties and postgraduates. My experience as the innovation consultant to ministries, organizations, and industries made me a better person to visualize best of both ends of technology supply and demand. Thus, I hope my sharing will attract your attention in the subject of research excellence. It is common among faculty and students to criticize the dean, head of department, supervisor, professors, etc. Why they ask us to do all this? Our job is only to teach and publish paper. But by understanding well of the sharing today, maybe we will be able to contribute our best to our university organically. Well, why did I put this picture? Knowing or unknowingly, believe it or not, faculty members are all superheroes. Being thrown into the environment and with very limited guide, we will have to learn how to teach in a very unique way for diverse range of students. With our own learning curve, with no choice, have to learn conducting research, translate the findings into writing, and publish them in high quality journals. Our journey doesn't stop there. We have to take our research further to collaborate with national and international faculties. We have to seek for external funding to enhance our research. And when the research is found to be technologically savvy, we need to protect the intellectual property. We need to protect the intellectual property. Then look for platforms in getting the technologies promoted and commercialized accordingly. The journey does not stop there for us. Dear academics, since we are supported by the taxpayers, we are also bound to serve the community, looking into ways on how our homegrown technology, or in another word, the research output, could benefit them. Or at least few social responsibility projects, which make the community proud of our intellectual existence. Beyond that, industrial collaboration is also a must to have our technology utilized by them so that there will be extra income generation for our university. We are also the student advisors, mentor, and guide for junior faculty despite supervising our postgraduate and undergraduates. Oh God, there are a lot more to say. What I've mentioned are the primary ones. There are a few more that I may not want to mention here. Sometimes some points sensitive. And after all these loadings, we are called, you guys are lucky, very easy job and highly paid. So this is what normally we hear from the public. Oh, you are a lecturer, you are a professor, you are a doctor, you are doing great. You go nicely attired and come back whenever you want. But that is not the reality. Only the researchers or the academics knew the problem behind. Well, I'd like to give an analogy. Researching is the same as swimming. the first thing we will look into before swimming is what? The depth. If it is deep, we will never go in, even with complete gears. We will never go. We will never dare to go into the pool or into the river or into the sea to be versed. But over the time, persistence, continuous effort, courage, passion, right? Once you master the swimming, the depth becomes insignificant for fear. The swimming skills can override the fear because once you know the swim, the depth is irrelevant anymore. And there are a few who will remain fearful of swimming for life. There are. You could see among our colleagues, from the day one until the end, they are worried. They do not know where to start. They will start sometimes, but they may not know, where do I reach? Where is my destination? What do I do? Especially if you do not have a mentor or a guide. But majority will become experts and gears no fear and no more of their concern. The same goes for research. It is fearful for beginners, but over the time, it should be overcome, right? So we could see from the image, we are so fearful, then with some gears, helpful, you become expert, and eventually, even the deep will never give any fear. So that is my opening to introduce with an analogy why research should not be feared, especially for the newer ones. I believe, I'm not so sure about the composition of the attendees today, but I believe there are postgraduates, there are young faculty members, right? So I hope some points from here you can take so that you could practice better. All right, since our title is Research Excellence, I believe it is good for us to understand the definition of excellence. Excellence is nothing but the quality of being outstanding or extremely good in the field of doing. In the field of doing. We may see some researchers, they dwell in their research domain, but they don't move forward, they don't narrow into their specialty. All right, so this is the definition of excellence. Okay, and then research. What is research? Research is not, in the layman term, research means I do what I don't know. No, it is not that way. Obviously, yes, you do things that you do not know, but there is a method. So research is defined as the systematic investigation in order to establish facts, to reach new conclusions. Okay, so please look into the underlying text, systematic investigation and new conclusions. So we must arrive at the end of the journey, the research journey, that I have found something new, right? And moving further, research is a systematic, controlled, empirical, and critical investigation of natural phenomena guided by theory and hypothesis. Theory and hypothesis, so must be supported by theory and hypothesis. If we were to do the research but unable to associate with the relevant theory and hypothesis, our research can be considered as weak, right? So theory and hypothesis about the presumed relations among such phenomena. So relating the excellence and research, I believe we understand better what is the talk going to be about for today. Research excellence. Okay. All right. this is what I experienced over the time. Now, experimenting without hypothesis is traditionally non-science-based research, right? You look at the picture below. Look at the picture below. Good experiments are scientifically analyzed with prior science knowledge in the field. If we were to ask students from school, could you get an egg float in the water? The students who have learned science, they will say yes. Add salt. When you add salt, the water becomes much dense and the egg will start floating. You see? But if you were to tell this to a person who has do not have theory behind, he has to conduct so much or so many trial and errors to prove, yes, what we are telling is correct. But for those who have got fundamental understanding, they will easily calculate how much salt is required to make the water in such dense that could buoyant the egg up. You see? So that's a classic example. And you could see on the other side, I'm not so sure in other part of the globe. In Malaysia, we call this 3-layer tea. Once I've taken my dad to a restaurant, we have ordered for 3-layer tea. Obviously, he took this tea without milk. He don't take milk. And when I got this drink, he was so surprised. He said, I only know water and oil cannot mix. Only water and oil don't mix. Even then, although he's a MacGyver, to me he's a MacGyver, he's a role model, he can do all kinds of experimental items, name it electrical, electronics, whatsoever. He's the guru for me, he's MacGyver for me. But scientifically, he may not know why. If you ask him about density, he may not know what is density. And he was so surprised. This is water, water, water. How come they don't mix? How could they don't blend together? So I was unable to explain to him because we are in two different understandings. If I were to tell to him this is because of density, I again have to derive what is density. I have to explain density, which will take very, very long. Right? But for a person who has got science knowledge, who has got prior knowledge, very easily he could modify, he could understand the principle behind this 3-layer tea. All right. I think the secretariat, we have started a little late. I've got plenty of slides. I may not want to dwell so much on every slide that I'm worried. We do not know the timing of every country that participating. It might end in lunch hour. So I'll try to simplify wherever possible. All right. So who should conduct research? Obviously, research should be conducted by universities and research institutes. In Malaysia, and I believe despite of the very niche institutions, we put them aside, research institutes and universities are the ones supposed to conduct the research. And why? Why? Because they have got high number of scholars, PhD holders, and they have inbound knowledge, enormous inbound knowledge. They have got huge or rather great facilities and resources so that they could experiment their doubt and they could validate. And at the same time, they have huge amount of academic materials. Name it, the subscription every university and research institutes into it. Journals, books, all kind of periodicals. And at the same time, they also have diverse field of expertise, where when it comes to a transdisciplinary project, they can always tap the expertise of their colleagues within the same institution. And beyond that, it's a professional conduct. See, it's a professional conduct. They know the standards to be followed. They know the methodology to be adhered for the research. And if at all they don't know, they know where to look for. They know whom to search, whom to be communicated to get them guided best in the area that they would want to venture. You see? So since most of us here are from university, let us move to the university. Okay? So what is the role of university? How many of us actually know the role of university? The function of the university. How many of us knew exactly? If we do not know, we wouldn't be able to differentiate between university and school. Can anyone here, maybe you want to share very quickly, what is university for? If any? We always tell to students, yes, please. Anyone who want to try? Okay. We always expect students to have interaction when we teach, right? So we call it active learning. Active learning. I think in developed countries, they always go into the active learning, right? Anyway, what is the difference between school and university? University, let me give you the answer. Maybe in detail, most of us do not know. University is a place to generate and disseminate knowledge. Are schools not for the same? Yes, schools are also a place to generate and disseminate knowledge. But what differs in university? University generates and disseminates new knowledge, a novel knowledge. Okay, it is a place where new things are being found with various methodologies, various thinking level, okay, various critical analysis. So we tend to find new knowledge. So bear this in mind, especially for the newcomers. So we have to be very unique to make sure that we contribute to the university in developing new knowledge. This, it has to be a very serious business. It is not like school, go in the morning, come back in the evening, and you don't have to carry. I'm not putting down among teachers. Obviously, teachers are the gurus that who has made who we are today, but they have got a very different role. Teachers can become lecturers, but not all lecturers can become teachers. Teachers, their passion is very different. I've read in a book, no academicians in the university can be equalized to teachers' role. So obviously, teachers are always our guru. Okay. So basically, what we do in the university, although we have got many other research that has been cascaded down, but I would classify only two types of research. One is fundamental research, and second is applied research. Okay. So I do not want to dwell so much on what is fundamental research, on what is applied research, because I've got another session, probably we will see that if we have time. And secondly, when we understand the role of university, how many of us actually understood the aspiration of your university? If you don't understand the first one, generating a new knowledge, if you don't understand the aspiration of the university, obviously the excellence is very blur for us. Well, we don't understand what is the aspiration of our university or institution. Have you been even told about by anyone? By the top management, middle management? If you are, great. You could lay out a map. You could measure the attributes, and you will be inspired to drive in achieving those attributes. If you are, I would not want to say you, I'd rather put it we. Let me include myself in that environment. So if we do not know the definition, if we do not know the aspiration, obviously it will take many, many years for us to understand why I have to perform research. What kind of research that I should do? What can I expect from the research? So that's very important. Okay. Unfortunately, from my experience, from my sharing with others, unfortunately, rarely happen of the cascading about the aspiration. Thus, we do not have a strong inspiration to move forward. But we will be asked to achieve KPI. You have to publish 3 journals. You have to come up with 2 patents. You have to produce postgraduates. You have to do this. You have to do this. Eventually, we will be bothering. Why do I have to do this? Why? But if we were told about the aspiration, right? I always give a classic example. When we ask our children to study, we ask our children to do something, we often instruct them. But how many of us actually convey the aspiration of the family to them so that they could understand and be inspired to do things better? Right? So, definition of university, aspiration of the university, whether we are getting it or not, second issue. And the third one, we always have this problem. Postgraduates always expect supervisors to know the research answer. They expect us to teach them. You do this, you do this, you do this, you will get this. That's where the problem starts. The sense of exploring within a very specified methodology to explore further, to ask their colleagues, to find new things and come back, discuss with the supervisor is much reduced in our busy schedule. Right? Supervisors don't have enough time to explain into details of what to do. And PG is also another factor why the gist of the research is not surfaced. We academicians, we faculty or whatever we call, faculty or faculty member, academics, professors or whatsoever, we have very limited time to do things from A to Z. The postgraduates must grab the opportunity to learn from your supervisor, to learn things from your supervisor, translate them, earn knowledge, and generate the output as desired. So as a postgraduate, you have got much lesser diverse responsibilities as compared to your supervisor. So you have to help them. Okay. So I believe with that understanding, the expectations, we could attain a better level of research output in the context of excellence. It is very difficult to measure the excellence, but I will try to share some of them later. Okay. All right. Now, in the university's environment, high impact commercial knowledge, everyone, every academician, every faculty member is expected to have this. And there are 3 domains. There are 3 principal domains that we have to master. The first is knowledge domain. Okay, that means it's a sharing, okay, or I would say transfer. In another word, we used to say transfer. So we have got 3 domains, which is knowledge transfer, service transfer, and technology transfer. So we have to measure where we are. We have to measure where we are, which of the domain that actually we are mastering, and which is lacking. And only when you combine these three domains, transfer of these three things, then the university will grow. The reputation of the university will grow. Okay, but okay, I will touch on these into details in my next talk, that is on the 1st of October. I believe if everything goes fine, on the 1st of October, I will focus on these two attributes, service and technology. So at the moment, what we do most is knowledge transfer. How? The knowledge transfer we share through publication, and we collaborate with other researchers. So we master about 70 to 80% of the faculty members. We master this knowledge domain or knowledge transfer. Excuse me. But on the services, very small number. Service transfer, very small number involved, unless you are in the region of industries, industrial area, or you have got good connection with third parties outside of our university. And on the technology part is obviously you have to, the output of the research, you have to produce the IP, and from the IP, you have to validate your technology, and then after you put it on the applied or applications, and then you have to commercialize and blah, 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 blah. So you've got a lot of things to do on this domain. Okay, you have a lot of things to do. So normally what we do here, we master this portion, which I believe if we only master on the knowledge domain, we could not classify our university or ourselves as excellent researcher or research excellence university. We wouldn't be. Okay, so we only take knowledge commercialization. Okay, this is for the knowledge commercialization. If you have any question, I do not know what is the modus operandi like. It depends on the secretariat, but you can stop me if you want to, or you can hold until the end of the session. Okay. So knowledge transfer is what most faculty concern, because most of us researchers or academic or faculty or whatsoever, the knowledge transfer is what we are concerned and practice always. But service and technology, we are not so much into, but we will look into the attributes. And we say, okay, I performed the research. What are the outputs to reflect that I'm doing a good research? Of course, what we always do, okay, are among this. You could read them. I do not want to go in detail. I will cover later. But are this really called outputs? Right? So we have to think big. We have to enlarge the scope of current trend that we practice. Look into the details, which are actually, which among them you can classify as output, as outcome, and also as the impact. So an excellent research should cover all these three components. You must have output, you must have outcome, and you must have impact. Impact to whom? Is it to us, to our family, to our university, to the country? Let's see. We will look into it later. Okay. So I hope you can understand. I'm trying to slowly bring you from the basic definition, what you should do, what is expected, and what we normally do, who should do. So we move on slowly. Okay. So on the other hand, if we look into, you see, that's what I got this information, not information, I gather this. I work so hard trying to understand the bigger spectrum of research in the context of top down. Why government is emphasizing universities to do research? Why universities are forcing or emphasizing on the faculties to do research? If we can understand this very well, the aspiration, if it is well understood, we will be more than happy to contribute. So very quickly, let us look why government is emphasizing on research. You know what? Government is spending a great percentage of GDP for the development of universities or research institutes. Okay. Why? Maybe very small number of us knew about this, but for those who do not know, you have to get a bigger picture. It is actually to position the country equal to other developed nations or other developed countries. You may want to look into very quickly. You can Google. One of the tool or the measurement is Global Innovation Index. We call it GII in short. So as for Malaysia, it falls within the range of 31, 33, 31, 33, within that range. And if I'm not mistaken, India falls within 45 to 46. And there is a trend showing that we are growing fine. And if you look into the details of the Global Innovation Index attributes, within that you could see the confined attributes, which are the outputs of the research, outcomes of the research, and the impacts of the research, contributing value so that your country can go higher in the ladder. You see? Understand? I hope you can understand this. I always give this big picture, because the teaching, the learning, it can happen anywhere. You can even Google. But for you to understand this big picture, you have to read a lot. You have to move a lot. So I'm giving the gist of it so that I can have more people who understand this and research become much positive and naturally driven, right? So how would we help the government to go higher from 33 to 31, 31 to 30, 30 to 29? How? Then now I'm inspired. I am inspired when I publish paper. I am actually contributing to my country. I am giving one paper to my country to show, for my country to show, a look, I am also coming equal to you. When I have patent, I am showing to them, I'm contributing to my country to make my country go up. Now I'm inspired. Instead of I only listen to my dean or to my head of department, you have to produce patent, you have to produce paper, give me 3 papers, give me 5 papers. No, we can never be impressed. Is it? So when we are helping the government, what does the university get? What does the university get? University, of course, the country will be recognized. Okay, that is how all the developed country has moved along the ladders to the top. Okay, so you can see all the Switzerland, Netherlands, all those things sitting almost on top. And there are certain countries going up, like Singapore, they are moving up. So it needs a very huge, consistent ecosystem in R&D to make everybody understand this big picture. You see? So when this happens, what is the benefit to the university? You might ask. You see, from the individual, you contribute to the university contributes to the country, and country contributes to the world. Now, the university gets recognized. why the university gets recognized means the university now, when I publish 3 papers, we have got 100 researchers. So you have got 300 papers. And not only papers are important, the impact of the paper to reflect the quality of your work. And when the university's reputation is growing, so university's ranking will go better. When the ranking goes better, the student enrollment, you will get best students, you will get higher enrollments. So when you get these two, you will get more income generation for the university. When university has got more income generation, university has got funding to provide internal funding or internal grants for researchers. And at the same time, when you have reputation, you will be a referred center. You will be a consultant. You see? And similarly, with very limited understanding in this, not many, and very few expectation, we would always expect to study in IIT, Harvard, MIT, Cambridge. Why? Why? When you cascade down those attributes, you will understand why. I don't mind if those universities are expensive, I still wanted to go because I know the values in that university that will turn me how I desire to be upon graduation. So I don't mind if I'm applying for the university, I don't mind going to expensive university. Parents don't mind enrolling their children. Right? Okay, I do not want to go so serious into this. All right, let's move on. So what exactly do let me simplify this to you. So basically, what we are doing is translating the research. We have to translate the research, the fundamental research, into the benefit of someone. How? So we have to translate knowledge into idea. If we don't translate the density, the idea of getting 3-layer T, how could we connect the knowledge of density in producing the 3-layer T? So you have to translate knowledge into the idea. So idea to connect in the context of design. Then once you design, make sure it is innovative. Make sure it's an innovative. So you have to design into innovation area so that the innovation can be translated into intellectual property. Right? And when you have the intellectual property, it will be translated into a technology where the technology is to serve community and industry. Right? So I'm quite fortunate because I lead this technology transfer office and I have mastered about the intellectual properties. I used to conduct intellectual property workshops for 2 days, 3 days, how to do pitching, how to do research, so many areas that I explore. And I try to help more researchers, more people outside the university or people from different universities to understand better so that they could contribute to the world of research. Okay. And this is what we call translational research. It is no more research that's staying in the lab. It is no more research ending up with papers. If we were to measure, my research is fantastic, I end up in publishing papers. How many readers has contacted you? How many readers have contacted you asking for how have you done this? Or can we together explore this further from the idea that he has? If you keep on receiving this kind of emails or whatever messages, then it's good. And that is why H index came into the place. It is not about publishing number of papers, but how many people are citing those papers. Obviously, there is a little bit of gaming there. I don't want to touch on that matter. Okay, it's very sensitive, right? So this is what all about we have to do research. If we are not translating our research to the benefit of mankind and we don't generate income, then it still cannot be called excellent. Income does not mean money per se. Income can be G2G, G2G collaboration. We can have people from there come here, invest in our country based on our home technology, homegrown technology. Okay, all right, I have to move a little faster, I suppose. This is the problem with professors. When they start talking, they can't stop. You need someone to stop them. Okay. So what is actually they expecting in a very short term? If you want to take back, this is what you take back. From the researcher, you have to translate an idea into goods or services which create value for customers who would want to use or pay for it. Okay. So research is the process of turning money into knowledge. You are getting grant, use that grant, turn your idea, turn the money into knowledge. So you gain the knowledge, right? You gain what knowledge? We do not want knowledge that the world already know. We want new knowledge. Remember my earlier slides. New knowledge. University must churn new knowledge. Then it has to be innovative, turning the knowledge into economy. It has to be innovative. If it is not innovative, who wants to buy? Who wants to use? Who will appreciate? Nobody will appreciate. Then we will make noise. Look at it. I've spent 20 years in my research, but nobody wants. Okay, gone are those days. So we have to strengthen our research. First, we gain the knowledge. Second, we strengthen the knowledge. Okay, knowledge in terms of the research. And high impact research, when you have someone to take up your knowledge to benefit them. Okay, to benefit them. So high impact innovation serve the people by providing the technology, societal well-being, revenue generation, industrial collaboration. And for the governments, what they want? New industrial generation. G2G, nearing developed nation status. And most importantly, this many people overlook. The government wants money. How? When more industries are developed, the industries, when they make money, they have to pay tax. And from the tax, the government benefit. The government now will have funding to continue subsidizing research base or whatsoever. So this is how the entire cycle moves. Okay. So let's see what are the kind of research, very, very minute examples that I would give. Minute, okay. Prosthetic limbs. Okay. If this very simple example I've put here, okay, and I've also insert my I would say my inspiration, my guru, my idol, okay, the late President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. We know how much he has contributed. Maybe I will make it short later. If you can contribute to the benefit of mankind, then it supports the sports industry. It supports the communication industry. It supports the physical of our community. It gives a normal life for human being with diverse range of expertise, facilities. We must always think how our research can benefit, can reach these people. Otherwise, our research will remain in the lab. Although, if we are not putting effort to translate, our research will remain in the lab. And we know a very classic, I think majority of you knew about it, late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. We know he is in the aerospace industry and into the lightweight materials. So one day he went to the hospital to visit his friend who's a doctor. And he found one patient dragging the entire leg, which weighs, I think, about 3.2 kilograms. And Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, he has asked, why is this? Then the doctor explained, it is because the weight of the material. So he tried to connect how he could help this industry, medical line. He brought that lightweight material into the hospital, making the limbs to be moved much easier. So from 3.2 kilogram, he has reduced so many percentage, where the next time when he went there, the patient came running with the very light leg. You see? So this is where we have to have the connecting ability. Okay? Okay. To make all this happen, of course, we need researcher and the character. If we do not have a researcher and the character to supply accordingly, the mindset, then we will move ahead at a faster pace if we have them synchronized with a good elements. Researcher who conducts research via an organized and systematic investigation into something. So researchers, for postgraduates, if you are here, you have to conduct research via an organized and systematic investigation, right? Into something. What is that something? Something new. Something new. And diligent and systematic inquiry or investigation into a subject in order to discover or revise facts, theories, applications, or etc. So how could you do this? You can refer to seniors, experts. I always tell to my students, my postgraduates, I can immediately measure whether you have done your homework or not, whether you are progressing or not. If for 1 week you do not contact me, it shows that you are not progressing. It's impossible for you to understand 100% whatever you read 8 hours a day. Even some supervisors, they say you have to work 16 hours a day for research if you want to do research under me. Certain supervisors, I'm not to that level yet, but I always tell them you have got 8 hours, take 6 hours, minus your lunch whatsoever. And after 1 week, if you don't come back with any question, you are not progressing. Second, when you come back, I measure 2 types of questions. They will ask, Prof, why is this like this? If they ask this question, I know they did not cross-validate, they did not verify. But some few smart students, they will ask, Prof, why not we do it this way? These are the kind of students that we want. It clearly indicates that they refer, they verify, they look into so many layers, and they will come back to validate with us. So make sure those postgraduates, you have got the validating quality. And obviously, I have tools. I have my self-developed tools to move my postgraduates in a very distinct order. So of course, okay. So sometimes we have got research labs, students will sit there. When we see the researcher and the character, so what are the quality researchers? The quality of researcher that we can expect? There are so many. Okay, there are so many. First, you must wonder why. You must ask question why. Why my supervisor is telling this? When your supervisor is telling this, or your superior, your mentor is telling this, when we do not have the knowledge to that level, we will say he must be crazy. That cannot be done. Okay, but in my opinion, don't rush to conclusion. You need to have an inquisitive and imaginative mind. Imagine, curing, and you need to have the questioning attitude. Not questioning attitude. I've come across one student asking me, this is not postgraduate, obviously undergraduate. She was unable to do the superscript. And I said, when reading through her report, I said, why yours, the superscript is not in place? Oh, I don't know, Prof, how to do. So when I said, don't know, where are you? In which era are you? People can go to this space within hours. And Microsoft Word has got embedded icon for that. And you are telling, don't know. I have to teach. Look, you go to file, you go to here, superscript. So these kind of students are the one we have to really push them for a crash course or something so that they can explore. If those students are expecting us to teach everything, trust me, we will be exhausted. Okay? And when we are starting the research, make sure we start from bottom. From bottom means planning. Planning comes first. The big picture, planning, and then execution gradually. So you could see the left and right side. Strategize to work and rush to work. Of course, disasters can happen along the way. Not all research, not all love end up in marriage. Not all marriages sustain to the end. We have got some hurdles. But of course, we expect the love to move into marriage and the marriage commercialize into children. Children succeed, family succeed, then it's a successful family. The same goes with research. We expect that, but very small numbers sometimes does not reach the destination. Why? Because there is no systemic. I wouldn't say systematic, I would say systemic. That is why in my business card, I put systemic innovation consultant. The systemic means know how. It is not about know what. Know what is very applied. It's the know how is more important than the know what. And obviously, the the most important is know whom. Right? So if you know the Prime Minister, you are somebody. So that is another part. Not everybody is that lucky. Okay? And along the way when you move, okay, along the way when you move, there will be a lot of critics, lots of critics. Sometimes it hurts. We feel, guy, you do not want to do. When I am doing, why you criticize me so much? But believe me, having different opinions are important, even among colleagues and friends. We must treat this very professionally, like politicians, right? They fight in the parliament. At the back, they will sit and drink coffee on the same table. So somehow academicians, we are quite sensitive. We feel that we are being challenged of my knowledge. I've earned this knowledge over my 30 years of experience. You are challenging me? That is not really healthy in academic environment. Because remember I told you, knowledge is a snowball. Every role collects new knowledge, and every knowledge creates new research, and every research contributes to new technology. See, so it's very, very important. But at times, the right answer to the wrong question may be absolutely worthless. The wrong answer to the right question may be absolutely waste. We have very classic example that I will bring you very quickly later. So what's more important here is you need some tools. You need some tools to put in your ideas, expand the planning stage, including the execution stage, including the expectation stage, including the attributes to measure the excellence of your research. You need tools. Okay, so I am considered that I take all these three domains. I do knowledge transfer, I do service transfer, I do technology transfer. So that is how I managed to commercialize my technology even up to Germany. I collaborate with industry. You see, so that part I will cover on the first, because that is on the IP, intellectual property, and intellectual property towards commercialization, something like that. Okay, the title sounds that way. So what's more important, once you have the tool in place, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey because you have done your job. If you do the job without any plan, if it fails, you feel guilty. If you have read, you have understood, you have revised, yet you failed, yet we fail the exam. Of course, we will feel down, but in one side of the heart, we will say, I have done my part. So this is faith. When we can't prove anything, or when we can't prove our argument scientifically, we put the blame only on two things. One is God, second is ghost. Okay, one is God, one is ghost. Because why? Only these two, even though the developed countries are now looking into they are proving the existence of ghost, all those things. But normally this is what the researchers, you remember those days, our grandparents, they used to say, right? They used to give a lot of examples. Hey, after 7 o'clock, don't stand under the tree. You know, there'll be a ghost. But the actual fact is what? It releases carbon dioxide. It's no more oxygen. So it could cause you to faint. So when you faint, oh, ghost. So things must be justified with good scientific knowledge. For that, your tools are very important. Okay. So I used to train many using my own developed model, which will eventually establish a blueprint. It will develop a whole blueprint in conducting your research to be impactful with reasonable outputs, outcomes, and impact. So I conduct workshops on this manner. I want more people to take benefit of the tool that I have realized the need of them. Okay, it is normally, it takes about 2 days workshop, but it will put you in place. But of course, we need somebody who, with fresh minds, who would want to come with, I want to explore this area. Can I do the planning? And then I use this to apply my grants. So when I apply my grants, I already have all the attributes. I can easily write what output, what outcome, and what impact that I could generate from this research. You see? And on top of that, I also give the pitching workshop. How do you actually pitch to convince people? Okay, right, put that aside. So this model actually can also be used to prepare so many other things in conducting research, research grants, and so on. Okay, all right. We know very well about Galileo. When Galileo said, this is the argument I said, when some people can't agree with us, and especially when the superior don't act this way. How Galileo was put to prison when he claimed the globe is round. It is a globe. The earth is not flat, but it's a globe. And it takes years for them. They do not want Galileo to spread the so-called spread the wrong information. So what they did, they put him in the prison. And there were a little bit of so-called politics, okay, in claiming that the earth is flat. And after so many events, when one or two scientists agree with Galileo, then Galileo was released. Okay, so this is very, very important. And you know about Einstein. Einstein, if you look into the documentary, he's so crazy until he divorced his wife. He divorced his wife, promised to the wife, said, if my theory is accepted, I'll be a Nobel Prize winner and I will give my income to you. And it is really a source of inspiration to me. It is not about divorcing, but the drive, the confidence that he has to prove. And along the way, he found that his equation was not correct. This is what we say research. And he corrected. And he successfully arrived to the destination. You see? And we have got Da Vinci. We all know about Da Vinci. Genius inventor. But what he don't have is scientific. What he don't have is the scientific proving. Name it: parachute, helicopter, aeroplane, submarine. He has invented, conceptualized all these devices. He's very applied. Einstein is so fundamental. You see? So how nice if an academic environment, we have got these two people. We can't ask Einstein to do Da Vinci's work because his brain is not structured, not connected that way. And we can't ask Da Vinci to do things, formulate things, because he's in different way. So the role of leaders in the university is not, in my opinion, through my experience, we try to put them together. Exchange knowledge, come up with something novel. And this novel, when you execute into the research phases, you will come the excellent in the area. You see? So that is very, very important. And Einstein in his quotes, he said, especially for engineers do nothing but connect things, connect dots. You connect this dot to this dot. How could you employ application of somewhere else, bring it, and apply to the use of mankind? That is why people say, if you want to explore aerospace industry. Why? In aerospace industry, you have the material, you have got structure, you have got communication, name it, what technology they do not have. So if you work in the aerospace industry, basically you have all the domains. And then you have take automotive industry. You have got 10 specialization in automotive industry. If you take your car, you have got 10 distinct workshops that they all separated to one another, where when you put together, it becomes a good car. You see? I sound very serious. Even my children used to say that. When I tell them, if you have any problem or what, you can come and discuss with me. They say, no, 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 we don't have problems. Why? Because they are so fearful. What to do? I can't change my parents. I can't change my face. So I may look this, but my heart is very, very soft. I think so. So, all right, let's move further. I think few more slides to cover. So this is what the tool I've mentioned that I have developed. Okay, a tool that I've called Siva Tomb Cube model. So basically, this is high in it. When you use this model, it generates a high impact research blueprint. And through this blueprint, you will identify, plan, and execute the research. Okay, and you could see there is one donut. Most of our researchers, they very easily, in research, we always say identify gap, but we always find holes instead of gap, because holes are the bigger ones. That is much easier to be captured. But what's more important, if we want to move further, is the gap. Then we could reflect our specialty or expertise. So what we need in the model is select the area of interest. And then there will be sketch the area tree. The second layer will be sketch the area tree, where we will investigate. The investigative spot will be identified. So we will understand now what exactly that I will want to identify to investigate. Then I will move on Siva model first. So there are two phases actually. The Siva model actually will identify the gap. It will help us to identify the gap. And we put into the second phase, the tomb cube. It will give us everything, including the objectives, the outcomes, outcomes, impacts, and so on. Okay, so not only that, it forces the researcher to identify primary and essential attributes in developing a solid research methodology by outlining the objectives, as well as high impact results that can be expected from the research. Okay, so this is what I used to do. Okay, and this is the model. And before I end, probably this is a research code. Attract me. Research is to see what everybody else has seen, and to think what nobody else has thought. The second last, right? The last one, the last part of the sentence or the code, really interesting. To think what nobody else has thought. So you need critical thinkers. Some researchers, they are very good in certain areas, but always remember, don't put them down. They have to be trained. But to be trained, you need two components. One is time. Second is the commitment from the other side to receive the knowledge that we are sharing. All right. And hang on. Okay, before I end, I will put the link for those who want to know further about the model. I will put the link into the chat box. So you may want to contact, or you can fill in the Google form. So I will understand what exactly your gap is, and we can discuss how I can help you to move further in your research. All right. So I think with that quote, I end my talk, and I thank you so much again to Lundy Institute of Engineering and Technology for giving me this opportunity in sharing the big picture of research excellence. And this is my contact if in case anyone wants to contact me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It was really really an eye opener for many of us as research scholars and faculty. Thank you very much for sharing your valuable expertise. Can we take a few questions, sir?
Yes, please.
Dear participants, if anybody would like to ask any questions, could you please raise your hand so that I can unmute you? Okay, we have one question from chat box, sir. Mr. Chandra Kumar says, what are the opportunities for collaborative research at UTEM?
Oh, very good question. Okay, actually we are very open. The top management is very open. Our university, I think it was established in the year 2000, and I'm here for the past about 18 years. And I'm seeing the university's top management welcome. In fact, they encourage us to go out, get collaborators in. But there are good, you could visit our website. You can see the collaboration partners that already collaborated, and we always welcome. Please contact me. I will put to my dean if it is related to the faculty. If it is related to the top management, I will connect your query to the top management. And I, on behalf of UTEM, obviously welcome the collaboration efforts. Please.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else would like to ask a question? You can unmute yourself. I mean, if you can raise your hand, you have an option to raise your hand so that I can unmute you. Or you can put your, we have a question in the chat box. How to draw research roadmap from one Mr. Amit Kumar.
Okay, Mr. Amit Kumar. Drawing a research roadmap. I'm not so sure whether you are the academic or the postgraduate. Normally the research, mostly, the research title comes from the faculty. So research, the supervisor will have the big picture on how to move on, connecting to the previous research that he has performed. So you have to discuss with your supervisor to understand the big picture, always big picture. If we do not understand the big picture, if you do not critically ask your supervisor, where is this going? What are we expecting? Of course, I don't expect this in the first meeting, but after your sequential reading, you can go back and ask to understand best. Once you understand best, try to digest. Then put it on a paper. What are the expected outcomes from this research? When you know the output is very different, outcomes are very different. When outcomes in a simple manner, outcomes are the results of the output. Impact are the results of the outcome, right? So if you understand the outcomes, you will understand the big picture. When you understand the big picture, you could easily put it on a paper where you could start with your problem. Is that problem good to solve or must to solve? If it is a must to solve, then you will look into other existing solutions. Then you will see in which way you can substitute to that and standing unique. If you don't do this due diligence at the beginning of your research, you will only find that your research is just another duplication. And you will feel very down that you have wasted 2 years or 3 years. And you will say, oh God, if only I know this earlier. But we cannot be doing our PhD again. Right? So that is how you start. Understand the problem statement and look into what are you trying to supply to address the problem. From there on, you can do, or you can communicate with me. We will look into the Siva Tum Cube model, right? I hope I answer your question.
Yes, sir. We have another question from one Mr. Dr. Arun Kumar Mandal. He says, what are the fundamentals of academic research excellence? What are the fundamentals of academic excellence?
Okay, Dr. Arun Kumar. As I've mentioned earlier, when you say research excellence, you have got 3 domains that I've mentioned earlier. We are always expected to be good in 3 domains, which is knowledge transfer, which we are already very good in, and we have got service transfer. How much services that we can provide? That means how much consultancy that you do. How much of your equipments, your machineries that are being used for outsiders, not because they do not have the machines, but the intellectuality that we have. And the third one is a technology transfer. How much from the research that we do can be translated into a technology, and that technology can be demonstrated in a product form where you could attract people to utilize this. And then you will transfer this technology in the form of IP, intellectual property, right? Intellectual property rights to industries. So when you fulfill these 3 components, although they are not really balanced equally, but when you have these components, that's the sign, shows we are in the correct directions of research excellence. I hope I answered you.
Yes, yes, sir. One more question. Yeah, it's a big question. I'll just try to read it out. So, Professor, as you always know, supervisors are busy with their schedule, but as we are the research scholars, how should we fulfill our research outcomes to continue work in a better way? What are the other external sources to continue it in a better way?
Okay, all right, good. My postgraduates also have these questions. Obviously, we know most of the supervisors are busy. The first thing first is we understand we are in the same frequency with the supervisor. We understand what is his desire. Of course, most of the time, the supervisors, they speak to you, they don't write. You get them in written. The next day or the next week, after you go through again, you understand, verify with the supervisor first. Verify first with the supervisor that what you have understood is exactly of what he desired. I have seen many students, many postgraduates, they feel that they understood, but eventually they have got very different track, which disappoints the supervisor. And it will take time for the PG to come back to the normal and start it again. So my first point is that. Second, when you get this, the second point will be look for articles. Please look for articles, possibly in the high impact journals. So how do you identify this? You can go to Simago. You can go to simago.org. You can download. You can easily see. The first thing is you will Google for the keywords. You will identify the papers which are relevant to your problems or the solution to be. And identify those papers coming from which journal. Then you will bring this journal name into the Schemago. Type into the Schemago. Schemago will tell you now whether these journals are quality or not. You can look at the down bottom page. It will be written Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Possibly refer to Q1 and Q2. I am not telling Q3 and Q4 are not good, but for you to get connect to the science behind, normally you will find that in Q1 and Q2. And again, put them together, verify with your supervisor. And that's how the journey starts. Right? So if I were to explain this, it will take very long. So that's how the journey starts. Start there, and I'm very sure you will find it fruitful.
Thank you, sir. Another question in continuation to the same topic. If the guide is so busy with the academic activities in the university, but he doesn't have time to guide us, suggest me how we can make an effective thesis.
Can you please repeat, Mr. Daniel?
Yes, sir. If the guide is so busy with the academic activities in the university and he doesn't have time to guide us, how can we make an effective thesis? Please suggest.
Okay. I believe now this PG is towards the end of writing. He has done his research. He's towards the end of writing. Okay. Now, when you write, I'm also examiner for a multiple field from India and also other universities from various parts of the world. When I examine this thesis, I see huge variety. And what I'm seeing lack, especially in the PhD thesis nowadays, the scientific justifications. That is what really lacking and shocking. Because I was trained by a German supervisor. He said, if you don't have science, it is not PhD. And the science does not mean only for engineering. Even for arts, that is a science. So what our findings has to be supported by scientific justification. So first, we must make sure we have all the components ready. Second, get a benchmark. Get a benchmark thesis of your area, possibly not from your own university. Try to get it. I mean, the postgraduates nowadays, they are very lucky as compared to those days because everything is online. Everything is online because when I started my research, we have to do booking to sit before the PC. And that is also, they will give only for 1 hour. After 1 hour, you can see another PG at the back, queuing. So in the midst of searching, and we used to use not Google, not Yahoo, we used to use Netscape. It will take minutes to come. Netscape, you will see the meteorites dropping from the sky. So what you have to do, you get samples. And then you look into the, not the content, look into the context. Whether you cover the same context or not. Of course, the structure may not be the same, but the context will never run away from your subject matter. So get the context. So get the reference, get the context correct, and get a draft. Once you get the draft, give it not to your supervisor first. Exchange your thesis with your colleagues, the other PGs of the same area. Make an argument. Make an argument, okay? And I would share you a simple story, a very short story. When I was doing my undergraduate, the first impression, the story is first impression. So when I was doing my undergraduate, there was a clerk who controls the quality of our reports, final year project reports. So when we give it to him, the first thing is he will glance through, he will look into the format. When the format is not okay, he will throw away from the 4th floor and we have to go and collect it at the ground floor. And when we group of students, we meet the dean. We told to the dean, look, the clerk is throwing away our work. And when he looked into the remark, into the report, he said, formatting not qualified. So the dean's answer is very simple. He said, if with the guide of formatting, you can't even format your report, I don't have to read your content. So the formatting is very important because that reflects the quality, the first impression. So that is obviously first. Second is get the benchmark. And third is go to the context and only the content. And once you get the content, exchange with your postgraduate, another postgraduate, get some critics, get them improved. And when you see your supervisor, I teach you one technique. When you see your supervisor, tell to him, sir, I am not giving you a raw one. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. I've got the comments, I've corrected the comments, and this is the improved version of draft, sir. Can you please have a look? I will come back next week. He'll be more than happy to receive because you have done the fundamental work for him. So I hope I answer your question. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have one last question. Sir, how can we write good research paper which will give something new to everybody?
Okay, okay, good research paper. I think yesterday we had a workshop, a webinar on a research paper, how to write a research paper.
Yes.
And I think tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow, I think my dean, Professor Zamri, he will also cover on the how to write a journal paper, high impact journal paper.
Yes.
And he has published quite a number of high impact journal papers. I think he has got a huge experience, and he has graduated from Belgium. I hope he will be the best to answer, and I hope you can follow his session tomorrow. Because if I were to answer, it's not that I cannot answer. If I were to answer, it will be diversified. I hope you understand. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, thank you very much, sir. That's all we have with the question and answer part, sir. Thank you very much for your taking time and being a part of this FDP. It will be a privilege to have you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And once again, I thank all the participants. And I'm very sorry if I were to oversay something that hurts you or whatsoever. I'm very sorry and I apologize. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Dear participants, the quick announcement, the feedback form has been posted in the chat box. Kindly please fill the feedback form. If you have any more questions, you can fill, you have an option over there for this particular session. So any question that you have in mind, you can put it in the feedback form as well, so that we can communicate to Dr. Sivarao, sir.
Can I exit?
Yes, sir, you can exit, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll see you all on the 1st of October then.
Okay, sir.
Right.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir. Bye, sir.